morning. Welcome to A Sister's Perspective. I'm Lisa Stinson, and I'm here with my sister.
Lori Stinson.
All
Next.
right. Okay, last we spoke, we had so much hope in our hearts. We were so certain that maybe, and what all the things we're willing to do to try to get along and work things out and, understand the other side because we were so certain. What happened?
Wow.
What happened, Lori?
Big question. So many prongs to it, so many different elements to it that are really, I don't know. It's as if I'm almost getting this, like a new shade opens on the multitude of windows in this big building I'm looking at that goes, okay, it was this. Oh, wait, it was this. Whether it be the Latino votes for males change, the amount of non-college educated white Americans voted. There's all of these little pieces that keep getting tossed out there that I don't know. I mean, when you ask me the question, what happened, like personally, what do I think happened? I think um,
That's what I want to know. I don't
just
care
the
about those
honest
people.
answer is I think the way the campaign was run and the messaging that was put out from the Republican side was resonated more with people. I don't have any idea why. It's like asking, why somebody likes garlic. Well, because I mean, there's just such a different opinion that, like, why? I have no fucking idea why people voted for Donald Trump.
I mean, was
I
it good to say that they're eating the pets in Springfield, Ohio? Was it good to talk about, nine guns pointed at Liz Cheney's head? Was that really good to run the
okay, so
campaign that way? Because
here's what I
they were
think.
basing it the economy off of tariffs, which many people have said that tariffs are going to cause the American people to have to pay more.
We're
So
already posturing for that to happen. That is going to happen. Here's what. We are so stuck on reality type TV and the stimulation today that is so radically different than it was when you ran a campaign even a decade ago. I mean, I can't make sense of why people watch some of the type of television they do, and they're incredibly entertained by it. And so these outlandish things that were said, people went like, whoa, that's trippy. I mean, I don't, why would you even want somebody to represent the nation as a whole and say things like they're eating cats and dogs, or let's point guns at a person's head? Apparently, that was dismissed as it's just Trump. I mean, I think that's what I feel is happening. I don't know. When I talk to people, and I do know people who voted for him, I go, how are you processing those kind of things that are said? Well, I'm used to that's the way he talks about things, and that doesn't affect me. And I think, what? And politicians say all kinds of shit. And I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, that's not wrong. There are people that are on the Democratic side that said they're going to do X, Y, and Z and haven't gotten it done. So,
did
you know,
you ever see any of the commercials that the Republicans ran against Kamala? Did you see any of them?
absolutely. Which one?
Okay, was it more you think a fear mongering that happened? See, because
Sure.
I know some people say it was, it's because the country's still racist and it's still misogynistic, right? And there's pockets of that. There's no doubt about that. But I don't, I would go with the not wanting a woman to lead the country because of the fact that Hillary Clinton also lost. Um, but I really have to bring it back down to, they keep saying it's the economy, and you can say all you want about that party and how terrible they are. But when I'm feeling it in my own pocketbook and I want it to change, and so many people are just not even political like us at all, they're just feeling it in their pocketbook and they want something different.
Yeah.
Kamala ran on women's rights and, autonomy of their body. That wasn't
No,
the
I
message.
said it early on in our household, two women in the household. And at the beginning of when she started on short runway, 97 total days, if you count, how many actually get her campaign up, running, rolling, and through the process. She began talking about women's rights and the abortion issues. And Carnes, my partner said that's a big issue. And I said, no, actually it's not. It's not even at the top. It's not even in the top five. And she said, I can't believe that. And so I'm looking at statistics, looking them up, and I'm finding it as like the eighth, far below immigration, economy, the divide of equality in the country. Then it kind of ticked down after that. Safety in the world, not only nationally but internationally.
Okay,
Okay,
here we go. So can you
this
see the list? It says
sure. Yeah.
inflation was too high under Biden and Harris. Too many immigrants illegally crossed the border. Kamala Harris is focused more on cultural issues like transgender issues rather than helping the middle class. I don't know that I didn't see any advertisement on transgender cultural
I don't think
issues.
she ran on that. I think
Yeah.
that was a way to stab at what is making people really uncomfortable.
The debt rose too much under Biden-Harris administration. Kamala Harris is too similar to Joe Biden. Kamala Harris would let in too many immigrants. Kamala Harris should have never been the Democratic nominee.
Yes.
Democrats did a bad job running the country, and then down to Kamala Harris is too liberal, to Kamala Harris is too
Yeah,
inexperienced.
those kind of, if you take just the top five, because they dilute as they go down, but in terms of what people felt strongly about. But let's just stay, if we stayed over 10%, we're at, too similar. Debt rose too high with the administration, which is absolutely untrue. So you have pieces of this that, you can debate factually, and then you have the feeling of whoever, I don't know what your source is here, whoever answered these questions felt this way. And
So this was a piece that I found under Brian Tyler Cohen and his discussion about the issues as to why Kamala Harris, like what happened? Why did she lose? Because she
yeah,
didn't focus on these issues. She didn't separate herself. Now let me expand this back out. She didn't separate her. Well, okay, there we go. So, okay, now I'm going to tell you some shifts that have taken place for me. If
yeah,
you know
what's taking place?
AOC won, and so did Trump. They voted AOC and Trump in a New York district. Okay, let's just say that. That district specifically voted for Donald Trump and AOC, two entirely different people. Bernie Sanders was also elected again. These are supposed to be progressives, and AOC has leaned more towards the DNC side than staying in her progressive little bubble. She's starting to, because corporate money is involved, and that's the issue. Both Republicans and Democrats are bought out by the big corporations. What I'm finding happening is I think if we're going to win this again, we've got to lean into the progressive issues of universal health care. 70% of Americans agree that everybody should have Medicaid. Everybody should have some form of health insurance. I mean, we are starving to death here. Some of us are having to work really hard. I'm one of them. I'm not, look at me. I'm not starving to death, but what I'm saying is I'm living paycheck to paycheck in my.
And you have to continue to work. You can't look at the view, the visual, the vision that all Americans have, work really hard for a lot of years and retire. You don't see that in your sights because you're saying that's not work, that's not in my line of sight because I can't. And I don't, I'm not able to do so. So I get what you're saying. That's where you're at. Well, so what do you, I mean, really, this is a great question for you. What do you see as the pressure points? Like like do
I
you think that
believe, okay, there's just one other thing I want to share with you. One more thing. Something's happening to you. I can't see. One other thing I want to share.
Yep.
Just want you to really see this picture for a second. So when I look at the terror, the fear, the uncertainty of these people, of course, we know where this is.
Yes.
They're Palestinians, okay?
Okay.
When the Democratic Party is feigning to be so concerned about the American people while they're committing genocide, something's wrong.
Makes you question it, which is again back to you this question. Did you vote blue? Did you vote for Kamala Harris because she was the better candidate between Trump and her? Or did you vote her because you really believe she's going to change your pocketbook, stand up for all the things that you believe in? I mean, was that right down the line?
Why I voted for Kamala Harris, I didn't know if my pocketbook was going to change radically. I was voting for democracy because I was concerned. And I was voting for my nieces and nephews because I want their future to be better. I want them to live in a healthy climate. I want them to, to have better lives, right? I want them, my nieces, to have autonomy over their own bodies, right? Like I was able to have, that I had the luxury of having.
Yes.
And although it is in certain states and states are voting for it, there are many states that are shutting it down. And
Yes.
So that is a concern, but I was voting thinking of others and the future of others and the future of the world.
Yeah.
Now I'm concerned that because it's the few at the top that are really running the show. It's the corporations, the billion-trillion-dollar corporations that are deciding we don't have to be poor. We can have good lives.
Right. Yes.
I'm the way we're going to have to do that is through more progressive views. And I believe that Bernie Sanders, and if AOC is really true to her word, people like that are going to need to step up and tell those corporations, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to take your money because I'm not going to let the world starve just so that I can get extra money in my pocket. And you can get extra money in your pocket.
Our funnel, for the simple act of trying to elect this person who we thought was the best person, we raised $1 billion fucking dollars. That could change an unsurmountable number of people's lives in America here, just to run this political campaign. That's just one side.
Yeah.
So was it even, and people were putting in money that, sometimes people that barely, they were just figuring out, I'll give up $5. And all of that went to a space just to elect this person. I look at this stuff and go, man, that's a clear-cut example of how much money can be raised when you feel like you're doing the right thing. And to your point, people like Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris and the Democrats, this is true of both sides, are picking up that money in that volume. We need to be able to reprioritize how we do those same types of acts for the good of the people. And I think if a political candidate or a career politician who's sitting here would say, well, wait a second, that's how we get us there. Because without that, our voices would be silenced by the megaphone from the other side that's trying to outspend. And I feel like that's where Bernie Sanders would go. If you don't accept these funds to help generate your grassroots programs and all the way down to the social media we do, or the people walking the streets and whatever, and then we're muted. So it's a complex issue. But I was just using an example of you can mobilize a powerful group who believe they're doing the right thing for the good of the cause. And I think you're among many who voted for her for the reason you said.
Okay. So with that being said, as the votes are coming in and being tallied right now, 72,499,807 votes for Kamala, 48%.
Yep.
Donald Trump, 75,592,255 votes at 50%. That is not a landslide win, okay? That still means that 48% of Americans still went for Kamala. So as far as him getting away with doing some of the things that they're claiming he's going to do, that would be really difficult to do when you have a House that is this close, because you need 2/3 of the vote to radically change the
218 is what they need to get to. 218.
right. But what I'm saying is that although he's got a House and a Senate right now, he doesn't have complete control to make radical changes, because you need 2/3 of the House and the Senate to radically change something.
Yeah, and also, those are only seats for 2 years, and then this will change again. So during his term, things may change again. It depends on what happens.
Did you see that result right there, 207 to the as far as the electoral? Check this out. In 1984, Reagan won 525.
Talk about
Mondale's 13.
Yeah, he got blasted. Did you look at other evidence and other pieces? I don't know where you're going with your point, but
well, see, I'm just talking about electoral votes here. See the electoral 525 Reagan, 13 Mondale, and then you go back to the results of the election here in the presidency. I'm just showing the difference in the presidency, and there goes your internet connection is unstable. I know, so is my life. Where it's 223 to, it's not a landslide, 226 to 312. That's not a landslide.
No.
But when we hear the media talk, it sounds like we're going to lose everything. I mean, we already have lost a lot of democracy in a lot of ways, you know?
Yes.
But we still, the people have a right to vote for change. And it's going to be these grassroots that are going to make the difference.
It is. And they will rise up. And you just pointed to the 72 million people that will not stand down if this gets to the space where it's like really detrimental. I mean, I can see this shift quickly move to, I don't know what. I mean, it's challenging because we've had, you know, look at, you got that same thing, just that. Now go look at the House and the Senate and how much of that voted red and how much of that voted blue. And it has shrunk. If you just took the Biden Trump race, if you just went backwards just to that one and used that same map, it's really close, but the other way around, where Biden won it 312, Trump won it, you know, some other number that was closer. So I think it's like we're 50%, where half of us are sitting in a room feeling one way and half are the other. And we need to keep talking about it. There's people that are really unhappy as Democrats saying, this sucked. And we didn't like this. Well, tell us let's talk about it. Let's try to figure it out. So.
Okay. Next question. How bad do you think it will get?
You're talking to somebody who used to watch the elections across the nation every single year for better part of 30 years of my career. And we had big, you know, events sitting there trying to tally every single, you know, jurisdiction and trying to report first what happened, and seeing races where people won that we thought, what the hell's happening? And people won that were like, wow, that's amazing. You could have predicted that. And I guess what I think is going to happen as the human race will continue to go, this is how I want to live. And if I'm directly impacted and this gets worse for me, I'm going to need to do something different. And I feel like the question was, how bad do I think it's going to get? It's really a question for each demographic, right? Like, how bad is it going to get for people that make over $200,000 a year right now? Not bad. How bad is it going to get for people that make $60,000 a year right now? I bet it will feel like it's going to get worse. How bad is it going to be for people that are raising families that may not get any child care incentives or first-time childbirth incentives, or people that are trying to buy their houses for the first time? All of these incentives, or people that are starting a new business, trying to do that, those things that were on the Democratic ticket in terms of the highlights for what was going to be done, those people are going to feel it's still hard and it's not getting any easier. So I think that's really a question that's tiered based on the demographic.
Yeah.
I'm a
So
white, you know,
I left the teaching profession and I was able to get benefits and a small pension. But if Donald Trump is going to be successful at taking down the Department of Education, that my benefits can be affected.
that'd be huge. Now, I would say it this way, in the state of California, because you're a teacher in the state of California, and that's what's paying your pension and your health care, is that correct?
Correct.
That will be, and blessed are we for living in the state of California, that will be undisturbed. But other places, that could get really uncomfortable. And that's a damn shame. I think that was the other part I was going to say. The demographic that anybody who's paying for their own health care and has a pre-existing condition, let me raise my hand again, is not going to be allowed to get health care even if I could spend more money for it. That's scary.
Yeah.
Now, my wife happens to be going back to work, so we will have health care again and stay probably employed until things change, because pre-existing conditions like the one I have now, you can tell there's something wrong structurally with my back, won't be fucking covered. And so that's scary. That's a group of people that's going to feel it a lot differently than somebody who's got their healthcare benefits paid for and they can't take it away from them right now, and can still is still physically able to work. What about folks that are disabled? I mean, this is going to get dicey for Democrats. So how bad is it going to get? I'm just going to say this. I hope not so bad that we see the same horrific looks on the faces that you showed on that picture earlier by people who are that devastated and struggling for a variety of reasons. I hope it doesn't get that bad, but I don't really know.
I was so hoping that that could end. I was so tired of that we need to have a ceasefire and all that. It's like, I feel that if I say, they need to stop killing these people, that it makes me sound like I'm anti-Semitism, and it's not that. It's that I don't believe these people deserve to die anymore.
And yeah, you have the views there that sit both sides and say, too bad. It's part of the sacrificial, I don't know the Bible's quotes all that well, but the sacrificial lamb. It's just the way it has to go. Wow.
My concern is this. Why do they have to be the sacrificial lambs? I think we're not all that separate, really,
No.
As a yoga instructor, we are all connected. Even though we're over in here in America with our bourgeois lives, even the homeless are considered bourgeois compared to what's going on in Palestine and those places and all the other third world countries. But are you afraid?
That's interesting. I thought a lot about that question for as long as my mind could process, and then I stopped. I don't know if I'm afraid. I'm discouraged and I'm disappointed, but I guess I feel like maybe it's in the DNA. I just feel like as a fighter, I'll continue to do that. So fear, maybe no. I don't intend to make a movie about my sexuality and try to go into a bar in Texas and see if I get stoned out of the room.
You're not going to push the envelope there, right? You weren't planning on taking any trips to the Middle East anytime soon.
I'm not, and I'm not headed to Mexico, and but I think I'm afraid for other people, I guess, and I feel powerless there, and so I don't know if I'm afraid, to answer your question. I'm I'm discouraged, but I'm ruminating. I'm taking this time um, to sort of grieve what decisions were made. Um, uh, I truly have a curious mind, so I want to understand them instead of just saying it was this or saying it was that. I really want to kind of dig in, and I've been, some of the podcasts you're sharing and stuff, and I love these radical differences of opinions as much as I can stomach. If they go way too far off of one side, I'm like, okay, I can. And especially when they start getting really sort of aggro, agitated when they're describing it. But I
Yeah.
need to come to it with open ears, um, and take it in and not try to carry that energy around, as you're saying, speaking of yoga and stuff, but try to process it and think about rolling up my sleeves and look around and talk to people and continue open communications. The people that voted on the other side, I want to keep talking to them. I don't want to build a wall and never speak to them again. I want to know what's going on. I don't want to know what they're thinking.
Well,
Yeah.
what you don't want to do is you don't want to accidentally think you lost your mother's phone number and then reach out to your younger brother who unloaded for 30 minutes anger and rage about how bad it was going to get. And when the subject about the brother-in-law was brought up about the Nazi comment, apparently he knows about it too. Everybody in the family knows about this conversation that was had, that he was going to take out his other eye if he has to. And I'm like, okay, calm down now. We don't need to be taking out any eyeballs, and I'm like,
I'm sorry,
then
it's
he's
not
like, and what the hell did you call me for in the first place? I'm like, I needed to get mom's number, but that's okay. I think I'm
funny.
going to kill myself right now.
I need to back off of that energy, but there's that rage, and we want that channeled in a way that creates change, not divides. And that's the tough part when people are angry and upset and feel like they've basically been beaten down, and like Michelle Obama said, the gasoline that on a fire is nowhere near as effective as trying to make the barriers around it and have communication and that kind of stuff. And I love our little brother dearly. And he does have a very high energy way of describing things, especially when he feels like his family is being threatened in any way. That's what we love him for. But uh, yeah, I think we got to keep dialogue open. So
Yeah. And we need to keep breathing and meditating too,
lots
because
of reading and meditating.
that meditation is a game changer for all of us. And I think it's something that we can even try to implement somehow, even though people feel like they don't have time or what's that possibly going to do? It can really make a difference in your life. And remembering that right here, right now, we're okay.
We're okay. And that meditation can be active meditation done in 10 seconds. It doesn't have to be this time consuming thing that people become more anxious about. It's just that those tiny little pieces and those little sound bites, and what you're doing right now in terms of sharing and putting that out there, that's the way forward.
Well, thank you so much for another session of A Sister's Perspective. And we will meet again soon to talk about the up and coming events and who's been assigned to what cabinet
Right?
and how what impact that will have on us as the American people.
We're going to be looking in the cabinet, so get ready for some kitchen talk. Let's do it.
All right. Until then,
All right.
hasta la vista, baby.
Peace out.
Peace out.